Alright, Assalamu alaikum, this is Coach Munir and welcome back to the Modern Muslim Man. If you love traditional food, whether you're Pakistani, that's biryani and samosas, whether you're Middle Eastern, that's shawarma and baklava and whatever else you like, and you love eating these foods and you're in a habit of eating these foods and your family is always giving you these foods, but you want to get in shape, you want to stay in great shape, and you want to ultimately reach the best version of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, relationally, or even if you just want to get in shape and you've already got those other areas of your life handled, well, guess what? We're going to talk about that in this video and how you can actually eat your favorite traditional foods every single day and still lose weight. Now, that sounds a little bit crazy, but I've actually broken this down to a science and how you can lose the first 10 pounds eating the same foods, and then how you can lose the remaining 20 plus pounds with a couple different strategies that we need to tighten up once you have momentum off the first 10. This is actually a very exciting video. It's actually my third time shooting this video. I had my mic break the first two times, so I think my mic's working. It looks like the levels are coming through. So let's dive into the video. And I've actually put together a slideshow because this is the only way I can make it better than the first take, which was freaking epic, was to just have an actual slideshow and some visuals. So here is the presentation. How to eat your favorite traditional foods and still lose weight. Biryani, samosas, shawarma, white rice, kebabs every single day if you so choose. So like I said, we're going to break down food quality and how to lose the first 10 pounds in the first 4 weeks without necessarily changing anything, but simply just shifting which oils you're using. You use the exact same quantity, you're just going to use different quality of ingredients. And not only is the food going to taste better, but it's also going to improve your energy levels because you're no longer eating oils and different types of ingredients that are inflammatory and cause inflammation in your body. And I actually want to maybe dive into this point just real quick, is that inflammation is one of the biggest things that we need to combat, and I'll explain it a little further in the video too, but if we can get rid of inflammation, you're going to drop 10 pounds pretty quick, usually within 4 weeks. Part of that is inflammation, not just all fat, just to be fully honest with you, but obviously the bloating that you're going to lose and the inflammation you're going to lose is going to come from the belly, so your belly's going to shrink pretty much right away just from implementing what I have to share with you today in that first 4 weeks. And then obviously, from there, we need to tighten up food quantity once you have some momentum to lose the remaining 20 plus pounds. And then obviously food timing. A lot of people always ask me what time should I eat carbs? Should I eat carbs after bed? Should I fast? Should I do whatever? And we're going to talk about how to make it realistic and sustainable no matter how busy you are, which is the main purpose of timing beyond the scientific optimization. So before I dive into all that, I want to dive into the motivational piece because I think the biggest problem that we as Muslim men and Muslim women, so if your wife's watching this too, or if you're a Muslim woman watching this, the biggest problem that we have isn't necessarily a lack of knowledge. Obviously, there's a lot of conflicting, confusing fitness information out there. There's companies telling you that canola oil is healthy, even though canola oil is terrible for you. But more so than that, it's the actual motivation to be consistent with this stuff, and then obviously the knowledge on how to create a sustainable system for yourself that's enjoyable, but also produces scientific results. And that's what I always strive to do with every client, which is why our clients get really, really good results, both Muslim clients and the Modern Muslim Man, as well as non-Muslim clients who I've worked with over the last 5 years. And the biggest thing is we need sustainability and we need the right motivation and really the right drivers, because motivation is a fleeting thing, right? So you can feel motivated one day, but you might not feel motivated the next day. So there are principles and there are drivers that we need to be able to follow that align with our priorities as Muslims, as men, as husbands, as fathers, as single men if you're single, as business owners if you own a business, as professionals if you're in your career, and setting a great example to Western society of what it means to be a Muslim, but more so being the best Muslim you can be for the sake of Allah. And here's the first reason that applies to every Muslim. Allah gave you this body to borrow, okay? This body is not yours, this body belongs to Allah, okay? And you are borrowing that body that Allah has given you. And if you disrespect that body by putting, low quality foods and toxic chemicals in your body, you neglect exercise to train that body and keep that body healthy, you neglect your sleep, you neglect your stress management. These are all things that we obviously help Muslim men with inside of the Muslim Men program, as well as on the Muslim Men channel. A lot of videos coming out on this, inshallah, in the next few weeks to come. Then obviously we need to be able to fix this so we can be better and healthier Muslims, not just for ourselves and how it's going to help you in the dunya, but also for the sake of Allah, which is obviously going to benefit you in the akhirah because you're in better integrity with yourself as a Muslim man or as a Muslim woman, right? And then obviously in the dunya, you're going to have more energy, more confidence, you're going to be happier and healthier, and that's also going to make you treat your family better and be a better professional, make more money, all that stuff that's going to help you to obviously be a better Muslim too. And by the way, if you're interested in seeing these videos that I'm going to be coming out with over the next few weeks, inshallah, please hit that subscribe button. I might as well say it early in the video because my commitment is to help 100,000 Muslims this year in 2022, inshallah, and then 3.2 million Muslims, which is the number of Muslims in the US, over the next 10 years, okay? So I want to start with you, and I want you to share this with anybody else if you end up getting value from this video that you feel would benefit from this. So again, before we dive into science, you can fast forward this video if you don't need motivation, but I really think this motivational aspect is so important because I want you to actually apply what you learned today, okay? The last thing I want is for you to watch this video and feel good because you got me screaming at you this whole time, but then when you leave this video, you don't do anything because then it's worthless. This is a waste of your time. But this is not going to be a waste of your time because we're going to dive into the motivation, whether you're married or single, whether you're male or female, no matter who you are. If you're a Muslim, we're going to get you motivated today in addition to giving you the tools, systems, and knowledge you need to succeed. So here's the other reason you should care, okay? The other reason you should care is if you're a father or a mother, if you're a parent and you have kids, you want to be able to set a great role model for them, right? You want to be the healthy, confident, disciplined, and in the case of men, who this channel is primarily geared towards for now, is a masculine man who lives in integrity with himself and integrity with Allah and has self-respect and self-love for himself and for Allah, right? And if you're disrespecting the body Allah has given you and you're not treating yourself with respect and love, this body and soul that Allah has given you, then that's disrespecting Allah. And you're setting a terrible example for your kids of being unhealthy, of being unconfident, of being undisciplined, of being not a masculine man, and of having, you know, a big ego that's stopping you from being successful, and of being out of integrity with yourself and as a Muslim and as a man. So it's so important that you treat yourself with respect, because if you don't treat your own body with respect, your wife, your kids, your employees, nobody else in your life is going to treat you with respect. And obviously, if your kids don't respect you, they're going to look to other role models who may not have the same Islamic morals, and, you know, your wife won't respect you, your team won't respect you. And just on the kids thing, I mean, I've seen so many Muslim friends of mine whose parents just didn't really set a good example that they could relate with, and as a result of that, unfortunately, these, you know, friends of mine kind of went astray and had to really like find themselves back to Sirat al-Mustaqim, you know, the path of righteousness. And I'm not saying any of us are perfect. I'm definitely not saying I'm perfect. I've got so many flaws that I'm always working on. Tons of flaws, trust me. But that's ultimately what allows us to own that, is we can be honest about that with ourselves and with others. That's what allows us to improve upon that. So if you're watching this right now and you're having trouble to admit that you're out of integrity with yourself because you're out of shape, then admit it, because that's the first step to solving it and becoming a better Muslim and becoming a better man and having a better life and a better afterlife. So that's why this is important to me, and that's why this should be important to you, and why I hope that it's becoming important to you. Because I want your kids to be able to look up to you as that strong, masculine, confident, healthy, happy role model of what a man of integrity and a good Muslim man and what a good man is inside of Western society and as a Muslim, so that your kids can be successful as well and they don't have the same pain and suffering that you're facing right now, possibly worse, in the volatile world that they're growing up with the metaverse, TikTok, Tinder, all kinds of things they can get distracted with, right? So anyways, I want your kids to grow up to be positive, confident, healthy people, and to have that role model in you so that they have those qualities themselves, okay? And so they can learn those from you instead of learning it from a non-Muslim man, which I've seen a lot of people, you know, they idolize, you know, certain celebrities who don't have the best morals, right? We don't want to have our kids follow those celebrities' footsteps. You know, so many Muslim kids have become these rappers who are bragging about, you know, how many women they slept with and how much weed they smoke and how much they drink and how rich they are or whatever. And that's not what you want your kid. You don't want your kid to grow up to be a rapper or want to be a rapper or idolize these rappers. You want your kid to be able to grow up and look up to you and the example that you set. But in order to do that, you need to set a good example. Okay, I think I've hit the father angle pretty hard. So let's talk about if you're single, because if you're single and you're still watching this, thank you for bearing with me on that. But I think, you know, a lot of Muslim fathers really need this the most, because if you're a single Muslim, you probably already want to make yourself better so you can get married. But if you're a Muslim father, I see a lot of Muslim fathers who get very complacent, which is why I want to hammer you with this so you get value from this video and you actually are motivated to make a change after this, okay? Now, if you're single, this is pretty obvious. If you're not confident with your body image because you're overweight and you lack self-respect because you're not in integrity with yourself, and you lack the energy to expand and meet new people confidently because you're tired and unhealthy and out of shape, you're also going to suffer, and you're going to have to settle for an arranged marriage with a woman who either isn't attracted to you or a woman who you aren't attracted to yourself. And I'm not saying that all arranged marriages result in like people not having good relations. Like, I have a friend, I'm not going to say his name, but he actually got an arranged marriage and he met a beautiful woman who's an amazing wife. But that isn't everybody, man. I've also had friends who've had arranged marriages where it's terrible, and I've had friends that had secular marriages, and I've had friends who had to settle for a woman or man that they weren't attracted to, or who struggle with being single well into their 30s and are afraid of forever being alone. And I don't want you to be forever alone, and I don't want you to be with somebody who you're not attracted to, because your partner deserves better and you deserve better than to be with somebody who aren't 100% all in with. You got to be 100% all in with everything you do, and part of why I'm going to this motivation framework is I want you to be all in with your health and fitness. I want you to be all in with Islam, and that's something that I'm always working on, right? Because there's plenty of temptations around me that I have succumbed to in the past, and I'm not going to lie about that and tell you that I'm perfect, because I'm not. I've succumbed to different, you know, pressures and temptations, and many of them I've regretted because, you know, I've seen the negative effects of them and why they're forbidden in Islam, right? So again, just kind of tying it in here though. So again, we want you to be confident, successful, happy, and the best version of yourself, and that starts with building the discipline inside of your physical body. And then also having sustainable systems, which we're going to talk about today within nutrition. And then lastly, the last thing I want to tie into is, let's say you run a business or you work in a high pressure career and you got huge KPIs, time constraints, but you're out of shape and you're undisciplined and you're tired, undisciplined, healthy, unproductive, you constantly feel burnt out, stressed, you lack confidence. You're not going to be the best leader you can be. You're not going to be the best professional you can be. You're not going to produce at the level that is your true potential. And, in Islam, we're supposed to be at our full potential. That's something that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to teach and always taught, and an integral part of Islam. I mean, discipline's a big thing in Islam. I think part of what helped me build discipline was being Muslim as a kid. Like, I started fasting Ramadan when I was 9. I remember I had a Persian friend who said, eat this chip. Your parents will never know. But I wanted to have that integrity and discipline myself. In fact, I didn't feel tempted because I was in integrity with Islam. But I've had plenty of times where people have tried to tempt me to drink or eat something that had pork or gelatin or whatever. And I've definitely eaten the gelatin, so I'm going to admit to that. But now I always strive to get bovine gelatin, and alhamdulillah, that's more readily available. But and then also I usually just don't eat stuff that would have gelatin anyways, because I don't eat processed foods, which is part of what you guys are going to learn today in nutrition. So I'm really going deep into this motivation thing because it's really important to me, and I hope it's important to you. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, I kind of forgot what I was going to talk about on that topic, but it's probably best because we need to get back on topic. I don't want to go on too many tangents here. So, but yeah, just to sum that up, you want to be the best leader you can be. You want to produce at your peak, whether you're a business owner or a professional, and you want to show a great example to your peers, both Muslim and non-Muslim, and anybody else who you're leading or who you interact with, the example of what a Muslim man is: a high-performing, high-integrity, virtuous, peaceful, positive, and charismatic individual, which is what I believe is to be your best self as a Muslim. Okay. So, super important. Anyways, so now that we've got the motivation, like I said, if I gave you the knowledge about the motivation, you wouldn't want to apply it, which means you wouldn't get any results from this, which means this video would be a waste of your time. What I want for you is for you to not just get in shape and not just have more energy and not just be more confident because you look good, but to have better character, okay? Because getting in shape isn't just about looking good. It's about pushing your limits and discovering who you are as a man and creating who you want to be as a man and as a Muslim to be that disciplined individual who you want to be. I also just remembered what I was going to say is that, Islam intrinsically builds discipline because it takes discipline to fast in Ramadan, to avoid pork and alcohol and other things that we're supposed to avoid. And so likewise, that's an integral part of Islam, which is why I want you to build discipline through your body here if you've been undisciplined with your body up to this point. Okay, and share this video. If you're in shape and you're watching this, share this with your relatives who are out of shape so they can get motivated and educated as well on how to actually be successful in fitness and in other areas of life. But anyways, like I said, when you are successful in fitness, it does help you in other areas of life. It helps you be a better father, husband, a professional, an entrepreneur, a leader, a man, and most importantly, a better Muslim and better integrity with yourself and happier and healthier, which is great for your family, obviously. And what's the tangible benefit for you in the dunya? Well, you're going to make more money because you're more productive, you have more energy and confidence. You're going to have more sex because not only do you have a better sex drive and you're more attractive to your wife, but you're also just going to have better character, and character is a powerful quality that's going to make you more attractive and more masculine to your wife, and you're going to have a better relationship with your wife as a result. Plus the fact that you're more masculine, patient, virtuous, disciplined, and better integrity with yourself. So that's going to help your relationship outside of sex, but then having more sex is going to create more connection with your wife, because obviously we wait till marriage in Islam, and many of us have had sex before marriage and there's zero judgment whatsoever. But all I'm saying is, if you're having sex inside of your marriage but your sex is subpar because you're out of shape, then obviously that's a negative thing in your marriage as well that we want to fix so you don't have to get divorced. And just to give you kind of the dunya benefit of this, think about how much divorce costs. I have a Muslim friend who actually recently got divorced and he had to spend 20 grand on lawyers, and he lost another 20 grand. So he lost 40 grand from being divorced when he could have just prevented it in the first place through a variety of different things. And he's a great guy. I'm not trying to say anything negative about him. I'm just saying these are the pitfalls if you don't work on your marriage. And work on your marriage begins with working on you. Okay? And then guess what? When you lead yourself, you get to lead your wife and become and help her better herself. And so it's a win-win for everybody: your kids, your wife, your coworkers, everything, your employees, everything. And then also you get to show a better example to modern American society what it means to be a modern Muslim man, which is da'wah, because people see you as a Muslim and they say you have great character, right? One of the most inspirational Muslims I've met, and I've had the honor of meeting so many inspirational Muslims throughout my life. If you've ever heard of Ramzi Hassan, he was a champion boxer in the 90s, and mashallah, every time before his fight, he would say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, everything. He was spreading da'wah. And I was actually having a conversation with him where he was telling me that before 9/11, when you would tell people you're Muslim, they were like, wow, and they would see you as virtuous. But after 9/11, it's like you're not sure if they're going to see you as virtuous, or you're going to be like, oh, that's cool that you're committed, or if they're going to be like, oh, I'm secular, blah, 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 religious people are weird, because some people are like that in American society, or if they're going to say, oh, you're a terrorist, right? And that's a struggle that I've been through a lot, because 9/11 happened my first week of public school after I bragged to everybody I was Muslim, because being Muslim was always something I was proud of, but then after 9/11, it became this weird sort of shame, and it's just a very negative thing. So anyways, I don't want to go too off topic here. Let's get into nutrition. But as a Muslim, I think there's a lot of passion that we all have for all this stuff, right? So anyways, I hope you're motivated now. Let's do some dawah for the non-Muslims and let's better ourselves in this life. So the actual knowledge on nutrition, however many minutes into the video that this is, 14 minutes in. That's why motivation is important. It takes 14 minutes to cover it. So food quality, right? And I'll timestamp this so that if you click the timestamp after the motivation component and you're joining just now, welcome to this video. You should watch the rest of this so you actually feel motivated to apply what you're about to learn. So if you watch this and you're like, hey, I'm not sure if I'm going to apply this yet, maybe later, you're still procrastinating, watch the beginning part of this video and I guarantee it's going to motivate you, inshallah, to actually want to apply what you're going to learn. But there's also some intrinsic application because when you fix your food quality, your energy goes up right away. And it's the most important foundation, and it's the smallest, easiest, simplest change that's not only going to help you get significant results of up to 10, sometimes even 15 pounds of weight loss over the first 4 weeks, water and fat that you're going to lose, and bloating and all that stuff, but your energy levels are going to dramatically improve. I've seen guys where their skin gets clearer just from applying this principle right here, and they're already losing weight and getting momentum. And the best part is, if you're eating higher quality foods, it's going to taste better, right? It's going to improve your health, and it's going to improve the health of your family, your parents, if you're buying food for your parents, your kids, your wife, all of them, they're going to have better energy and be more positive as well. The only downside with more high quality foods is more expensive. But one thing I always tell my clients, both Muslim and non-Muslim, is you're either going to pay the farmer today or you're going to pay the farmers tomorrow. Okay, I'd rather spend an ounce on discipline than have a ton of regret. Okay, so put in the work today to make more money so you can buy the high quality foods I'm going to talk about today. And guess what? You're going to have more energy, which is going to help you produce more money anyway. So the healthy food pays for itself. Or you'll suffer the consequences of having heart disease, medications and cholesterol medications, all those stuff that a lot of Muslims face because they didn't eat healthy in their life and they neglected their body and their exercise and nutrition, which again is out of their integrity as a Muslim. So let's understand inflammation, cortisol, thyroid hormone, testosterone, estrogen. And before I dive into the actual thing, so let's just dive through all these things, right? So inflammation. Now, a lot of people ask me, both Muslim and non-Muslim, they ask me like, okay, how do I know if a food is making me feel inflamed right now? And what I always tell them is if you eat something and you feel bloated, tired, gassy, sleepy, not clear-headed, unproductive afterwards, there's a high chance that that food is inflammatory for you, which is what's causing the bloat and the tiredness and all these other things, right? And so the way that this works is that when you have inflammation, this negatively affects the health of your mitochondria, which is a part of your cell that's responsible for producing energy. Versus when we reduce inflammation, we eat pro-metabolic foods, which I'm going to talk about today, the mitochondria are able to work more efficiently, which helps you burn more fat and have more energy, which is extremely powerful. The other negative thing about inflammation, which is why we need to fight inflammation at all costs, is it increases the risk of cancer, but it also increases cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which makes you more likely to burn out. It gives you less capacity to handle stress in your career and the rest of your life, because we, as Muslims, are under a lot of pressure and stress, both in our careers, the social sphere, our personal lives, our relationships, everything. And then the other downside is when your cortisol goes up, your thyroid hormone, which is the hormone directly responsible for metabolism, goes down, which slows your metabolism down and kills your energy further because your cortisol is high. And then likewise, cortisol also reduces testosterone, which is responsible for your sex drive, sexual performance, energy, body composition. And when you have low testosterone, your estrogen relative to testosterone becomes higher. And so thus you start to become more prone to anger, depression, anxiety, hair loss, sleep issues, low sex drive, puffiness, bloating, hormonal weight gain, and fat gain. There's a whole host of negative effects that happen as a result of inflammation. And the funny thing is, even for women, inflammation increases your cortisol and also increases estrogen, because when you have inflammation in your gut, your body can't excrete excess estrogen, which means that now you're going to have too high of estrogen relative to progesterone, which is a female hormone. And so when the estrogen is too high relative to progesterone, women gain hormonal weight as well. So if you notice your wife's gained some weight and that's affecting your guys' relationship because she's tired, triggered, stressed, she's a little less attractive to you. I mean, you should love your wife no matter what, but obviously she should prioritize her health as well, not only a Muslim, but also for your sake, just like how you're going to prioritize your health for her sake, inshallah. And so, you guys both become out of integrity with yourselves and you become lesser versions of yourselves, which is why it's important to optimize and reduce inflammation. All it takes is for you to invest in higher quality foods. Okay, I should have an affiliate link for organic food because I believe in it so much, but I believe in it so much that I'm willing to promote it even without an affiliate link because I've seen the benefit it has in my life and the lives of my clients and their families. So let's dive into it. There's a couple things you want to avoid that cause inflammation. Seed oil, so canola, grapeseed, corn, soybean, etc. If you don't believe me, because maybe you've been marketed to the canola is healthy by the American Heart Association or whatever agencies are trying to tell you this poison is healthy. If you Google what kind of oil or what kind of seed canola is made from, it's made from rapeseed, which is a toxic seed that even pests won't eat, which is why it's so cheap to grow and why their profit margins are so good at selling you this stuff, right? So don't eat canola. Now, you also don't want to eat non-organic food, okay? So this is something a lot of Muslims find out. I have a Muslim client, and mashallah, once I convinced him to switch over to the organic side, he feels way better, his energy's better, he's losing some belly size already while gaining muscle. and he feels way better. But he was asking me, he's like, man, all this meat's so expensive, man. Do they have any of this stuff at Walmart? And yeah, of course they have organic at Walmart too, but it's still more expensive. And like, I'd rather get it at Whole Foods, or better yet, if you eat Zabiha, just eat it's called Open Nature. Open Nature is a brand that has Zabiha meat. It's funny because some of us pronounce it Zabiha, some of us pronounce it Dhabiha, but either way we know what that means. So if you only eat Dhabiha, do Open Nature. It's a good brand, Zabiha. If you don't necessarily care about Dhabiha, then yeah, shop at Whole Foods. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you, right? But make sure it's organic. That's the most important thing. There's also halal organic grocers. But unfortunately, in San Diego, where I'm from, and I'm not going to name the name of this business, I don't want to like tarnish the reputation, but I'll just say this: if you go to a store and the chicken breast looks like it's full of water and like the chicken's on steroids, it's probably not organic. Okay? If the chicken breast is like smaller, it's clean, it's not like pumped with water, and it says organic, obviously, or even all natural is good. Like there's a couple stores, where I'm from, San Diego, and I live in LA now, where there's more opportunity for this. But there's halal grocers that do organic, and I think and actually I should do another video on this, but I feel it's un-Islamic for halal, meat producers to offer non-organic meat, because you're treating the animal disrespectfully by putting pesticides that harm the animal, by putting hormones that damage the animal and mess with its emotions, and all this other stuff, right? We should treat the animals with respect, because Allah has created these animals for us to be able to eat and nourish ourselves and gain muscle and lose fat. So why would we poison those animals and then poison ourselves as a result, right? I should do a video on that. Islamic animals' rights. Which, the conversation of veganism is another conversation. I actually have an uncle who believes it's haram to be vegan because Allah created meat for us to eat. So I'll let him talk about that one. May Allah bless him. He's one of my favorite uncles. I mean, I love all my uncles, but, I'd love to get him on a podcast, inshallah, one day. But anyways, before we go too off topic, so eat organic, okay? That's the biggest thing, especially meat, because the meat has accumulated pesticides if you're eating non-organic. Now, another thing you want to avoid, there's a caveat to this, which I'm going to explain in a second, but gluten, dairy, and soy, okay? So gluten and dairy, for some people, they process it well with their genetics. I process gluten pretty well, actually, relative to the average person, but dairy completely destroys me. I get bloated, tired, indigestion, everything, and it destroys me. And that only really started to happen around age 24, 25. But like when I was 22, 23, or when I was 17 and I first got into all this stuff, I was eating a ton of Greek yogurt and milk and all that stuff, and it helped me a lot with gaining muscle. But now the only side effect I got from the milk was I got a little bit of puffy nipples because it was increasing my estrogen. But other than that, I tolerate dairy well. But now I just don't even touch it. But gluten I can digest decently well if I don't do too much. But I still do the gluten-free oatmeal because I don't want to like risk it or push it, right? Now, on the flip side, there's a lot of Muslims who digest dairy well. And actually, the funny thing is, I'm going to use the example of some of the Iranian brothers. So in Iran, you have, and I'm not Iranian, I'm Algerian and Pakistani and French, but in Iran, you have Iranians who grew up eating sheep's milk and sheep dairy products, and have Iranians who grew up eating cow milk and cow dairy products. So the funny thing is, I have a client from Iran, and he does not digest cow milk or cow dairy well, but he processes sheep's milk and sheep dairy well. Versus I have another client from Iran, and she processes the cow dairy better, but not necessarily the sheep. So it just depends on the person, and that's where your genetic ancestry comes in. But you don't need to go like interview all your ancestors and ask them what they digest well, what they ate. You literally just need to experiment these things on yourself. And the first step is elimination diet. So all you gotta do is initially cut some of these things out, see if it made a difference, add them back in, see if it made a difference, and within 2 to 4 weeks, you'll know what's inflammatory for you. Now, soy, I don't think any man should touch soy. There's some men who are less sensitive to it. Like I had a non-Muslim client about 3 years ago named Ralph who digested soy perfectly fine. No, estrogen issues. But for me personally, if I consume soy, I start to get, puffy nipples, lumps under my nipples, puffy chest, man boobs, all kinds of bad stuff. So I got to avoid soy. And then it kills my sex drive. It makes me all puffy. It makes me gain fat, lose muscle. I mean, soy is just poison for me. And that's why I'm pretty adamant that other men should not touch it either. Okay? Refined sugars, we don't want to be doing refined sugars. Now, some people do process as well, but usually for most people, refined sugars are going to cause a lot of inflammation. Processed foods that are full of chemicals, we want to eat only all natural. If anything has like processed chemicals in it, that's going to be bad for us as well. And then anything else that causes bloating, tiredness, gassiness for you specifically. For instance, if I eat too much chicken actually can cause some of this for me, versus beef, I tend to process it better, right? So it just depends on the person. You just got to experiment on you. And this is something we help our clients with if anybody watching this in the future ends up becoming a client as well. Cool. So here's what you should do instead. Use healthy oils. So we want to use avocado oil for cooking. Coconut oil is pretty good for cooking too, but it does have a low smoke point, so be careful that it isn't burning. Olive oil has a low smoke point, so I use it for cooking sometimes, but usually only for raw foods, like salads and whatnot, but it is healthy, obviously, extra virgin organic olive oil. And then grass-fed organic butter and ghee is also good. I do get inflammation from butter and I don't really do ghee because I don't really like the taste of either of these things, butter or ghee, but like, things that have had ghee don't really cause inflammation as long as I can't taste it. Then I won't eat it because I don't like the taste. But butter for me personally, I think because it's not as clarified as ghee, it still has some dairy in it, so I do seem to get some inflammation issues from butter and like cheese and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're doing grass-fed organic butter and ghee and you like the taste, that could be great. So if you're doing your biryani with canola oil right now, do it with organic butter and ghee, and it's going to taste better and it's going to be healthier for you and less inflammatory, right? So that's my biggest thing. And part of what triggered me to be like, this anti, oils is my grandparents used to use a lot of vegetable oil and canola oil, and they thought it was healthy, right? I went to my Bengali client and friend's place, his family's place for dinner, and alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful, that they brought me in, so jazakallah khair, you know who you are if you're watching this, but that food was some of the most decadent, bloating food I've ever had in my life. But when I walked into that house, it was for iftar, it was after a day of fasting Ramadan, I had a six-pack, I left that house with a belly. Not that I gained fat, it was just I was so bloated that you couldn't even see my six-pack because I got so bloated from that biryani that was full of canola oil and cheap, low-quality meats. And I'm not saying this in any way of being ungrateful. I'm grateful that they shared anything with me for iftar. All I'm saying is, for their benefit, they should eat higher quality foods so that they don't have bloating and inflammation and health issues themselves, right? But anyways, so that's kind of like, the big thing with that is we want to use healthier oils. Now we want to use organic food, especially organic meat. We want to experiment with gluten-free, dairy-free to see if it makes a difference, and then slowly add these things back in, and then we should always be soy-free as men. And then natural sugar is fine, like in fruits. It's actually good for lowering your cortisol, which is really good. Natural foods are great. Anything that makes you feel energetic, clear-headed, like coconut and MCT oil actually have a potent energy-boosting effect, which is nice, as long as they don't cause digestive issues, because MCT oil can cause digestive issues for a lot of people, especially initially. And then other pro-metabolic, pro-hormonal foods. So I've got this little biohack I do, which is a carrot salad. I talked about it on my other social media the other day, so if you have any questions on this, just drop a comment. I'm happy to send you more info or tag you in the post on the carrot salad. So here's the beautiful thing. If you can master food quality and you're eating high quality foods, you can pretty much eat whatever you want and you will lose weight just from bloating and from your metabolism and energy increasing alone. If I'm craving Pakistani food, which is what my mom always made growing up, guess what? I can eat it whenever I want. I can make, curry. I can make samosa if I want to, but samosa takes a little bit more time and I usually don't have time to make samosas. But when my mom makes samosas, I've taught my parents about the stuff, so they eat high quality foods now, alhamdulillah, and they've seen great results from it, which I'm super grateful for, that I was able to lead my parents to better health with my expertise as a trainer. And inshallah, what I hope for you is from what you learn in this video and apply from learning from me, you can apply this to help your families as well and help your parents, because it's been extremely fulfilling for me to be able to give back to my parents in that way with health, alhamdulillah. So, but anyways, I just want you guys to know that this is possible for you as well. And then if I'm craving like shawarma, kebabs, white rice, I can eat that if I use high quality ingredients or go to a restaurant that uses high quality ingredients, which some of them, especially in LA, where we have a lot of food variety and people are very health conscious, do, which is great, alhamdulillah. And then of course my Western favorites, sushi, steak, fries, etc. Asian food, I eat steak and fries almost every night, alhamdulillah, or at least a steak. Fries take a little longer, so sometimes I don't have time, but either way, I can eat these things every day because I do the grass-fed organic. I do the high-quality sushi, not the one that's full of like soy sauce and all this other stuff, right? And the fried crap with the bad oils, right? When I make fries, I make them with coconut oil and organic potatoes, right, in the air fryer. If I'm doing Asian food, I'm not going to get the MSG one. I'm going to get the one that's homemade, so like my chicken teriyaki recipe, for example. Really, really good stuff. And with soy-free chicken teriyaki, of course. So again, if you can optimize your food quality and cook it yourself with high quality ingredients, or have your wife cook it, or have your family cook it, or even just meal prep it correctly, which I could teach you how to do time efficient meal prep. If you're interested in that, drop a comment. I'll teach you some time efficient meal prep. I actually had a request on one of my other social media the other day where somebody asked me to do like a shawarma healthy recipe. So I'm going to inshallah do that next week, which is going to be great. It's going to be exciting, and the best part about doing recipe videos is I get to eat them myself and obviously share them with you guys. So anyways, optimize food quality, cook it for yourself with high quality ingredients. Now, once you've got momentum with that, quality alone is going to help you drop the first 10 to 15 pounds, alhamdulillah, which is awesome. Once we get momentum, you're going to feel more motivated and more energetic to keep the momentum going and reach your ultimate goal and reach your full potential. And this is where we can start to take charge of quantity, because limiting your food quantity does take some discipline, right? Especially if you like to stress eat. We can rewire your stress triggers to eat healthier foods, but at the end of the day, we got to rewire that, or we got to be able to shift your habits around snacking and get you eating higher quality foods, which is kind of part of the quality side of things, where, one of my clients who recently came in, he loves to snack because he comes from, the Desi culture where snacking is a big part of the culture. His parents love to snack. His family loves to snack. He was snacking. He was struggling to lose weight. So I replaced that with some healthy, high-protein snacks that have allowed him to now start to lose weight and drop the belly while gaining muscle, which is amazing, alhamdulillah. So, anyways, Once we've gotten that momentum, we're going to have more energy, more discipline, so we're going to be able to do the harder part, which is quantity, right? And the beautiful thing is that your metabolism is going to be faster from eating the high quality foods. So you're going to not have to go like super low in calories to be able to lose weight, but you're obviously not going to be able to be a glutton, right? And there's, I believe, I think this hadith, came from Ibrahim alayhi salam. But I'd have to double check this. So for the Islamic scholars out there, don't get mad at me. Just tell me what the correct source was so I can correct myself. But I'm just going to say, I think it was Ibrahim alayhi salam said something like, or maybe it was Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but again, somebody in Islamic history said, fill your stomach with 1/3 food, 1/3 water, 1/3 air. So that doesn't mean you have to go like swallow air, but it means don't be a glutton, okay? And if you're being a glutton, the first habit I want to change for you is like the food quality and just cooking higher quality foods. And using the slow cooker recipe book. If convenience is a thing and you're ordering on Uber Eats or you're eating out, we can easily save you time, energy, and money by doing the slow cooker prep yourself. Literally, you're going to spend less time. All you got to do is be proactive or get the tools and systems which you're learning in this video. But that's kind of what I wanted to cover there. But tying back in with this, so just limit your food quantity where you're not over engorging yourself, but you're also not going too low. Because if you go like too low where you're pretty much doing disordered eating, then obviously that's not going to be productive for you either, because now you're eating too little and your metabolism is going to crash, because our ancestors during times of starvation needed to be able to conserve calories and not lose all their body fat and die during times of starvation. So the metabolism slows down if you go too low in calories. You got to hit this metabolic sweet spot. And that's one principle I'd also like to share, is you can't force fat loss, you have to coax fat loss. So you have to be in enough of a deficit that your body is losing fat, but you can't be in so much of a deficit that your body goes into emergency mode and holds on to fat. Because you can't force the fat off. The fat can't be forced off. That's why if you've ever tried to force the fat off, you've taken way too much action and pushed yourself way too hard and burnt yourself out, you lose like 10 pounds in 3 weeks, but then you lose consistency after 3 weeks, or you hit a plateau and then you get too busy and you get stressed and then you gain it all back, which is terrible, and you rebound. We don't want that. What we want is to slowly lose 2 to 3 pounds a week every single week for a long period of time. Maybe there'll be some weeks where you only lose 1 or 2 pounds. Maybe there's some weeks where you lose 5 pounds, but set those smaller, realistic expectations with a sustainable, enjoyable system. And that's what's going to allow you to play the long game, to not only lose the weight and have a long runway, but also keep the weight off for life. Because a lot of people, the mistake they make is they want the quick fix. They're like, let me just lose 20 pounds real quick and then I'll go back to eating the same way I was, only to rebound, but way worse, because they've crashed their metabolism and losing that 20 pounds in an unhealthy way, and now they gain it all back when they go back to their old habits. Build habits you can sustain and commit to, and that's the key. That's part of what I'm going to teach you here inside of the Modern Muslim Man. So when it comes to food quality, we're going to kind of go through this quickly because this video is pretty long at this point. I think this video is already, it's like over 30 minutes. So alhamdulillah, we exceeded the original 30-minute time frame of the original video with these great visuals. So alhamdulillah, I think this video is great, but let's just go through this real quick. So the first thing, sustainability is always key. And we got to still be able to fit your favorite foods in moderation while still being in a calorie deficit. Again, if your goal is fat loss. If your goal is muscle gain, then yeah, we might need to eat a little bit more, and sometimes force feed for a short period of time, even though it's not healthy. It'll help you hit your muscle growth goals. But most people watching this, they need to lose fat. So again, if your goal is fat loss, we got to get into a deficit, and we got to be able to fit your favorite foods in moderation, and it can't be too much of a deficit, or you're going to lose, or you're going to crash your metabolism. So usually I try to get my clients' metabolism, and for men specifically. For women, it's more like 2,200, 2,000 to 2,200. But for men, we want to get you to about 2,500 to 3,000 calories per day that you're burning using the food quality, plus lifting weights and training properly, boosting your metabolism, handling your stress and sleep better, all these other things, and the life coaching and lifestyle coaching element of things that we do in the program that then fixes your metabolism so you can lose weight more easily. And then finally, we hit a nice medium with what I call the metabolic sweet spot, which for most men is 1,800 to 2,200, but this totally depends on your body size, your metabolism, your age, a lot of different factors, but usually it's in this range. And this makes it very sustainable, enjoyable, and also potentially flexible if needed. And so what I usually see in guys who need to lose about 20 to 30 pounds is this next phase usually allows us to lose about 15 to 20 pounds in 8 to 12 weeks. And then we're either going to hit a plateau, and then if we hit a plateau, we just need to do another reverse diet where we slowly increase your calories to increase your metabolism, or by that point they've lost all the fat they want to lose, so then they switch to muscle growth or maintenance, right? But again, if you need to lose more weight, things happen a little differently. Like I have a client named Abdurrahman. He was actually one of my earlier Muslim clients from over a year ago, and so I have his testimony on my other YouTube channel. Inshallah, I'll upload it here soon. But basically, with Abdurrahman, very, very simple. He was close to 300 pounds when we started, so in his first 6 weeks, he lost 29 pounds, which is a lot faster than most people. But again, the more body fat you have, the more leptin you have, and leptin is a hormone associated with both satiation, and it also is a potent fat-burning hormone. Now, don't worry too much about all these hormones. I can help you optimize this stuff. You don't need to be an expert. You got the expert right here, so if you have questions, just let me know. But Again, like with him, he was able to lose fat faster. My other client, Waleed, I have two clients named Waleed. One started at 170, one started at 360. The one who started at 360 lost 20 pounds in his first, I think, 6 to 8 weeks. I'd have to check the exact data to give you an exact number because we track everything in a spreadsheet, or sorry, not in a spreadsheet, in my app, and then we also spreadsheet it for clients who want to do that. But I track everything in our app, which I can show you some other time, inshallah, if you're interested, which basically allows us to track your progress. But either way, it's because he had more weight to lose, he lost the weight faster. Versus if you're 180, like my other client, Waleed, for instance, he started at 170. He lost 20 pounds in 90 days, got down to 150 and got a shredded six-pack, which you've probably seen if you watched my other video talking about that. And, you know, obviously he took longer to lose the weight because he had less weight to lose. So that's just simply a caveat that I want to add here is that if you're watching this and you're over 300 pounds, you're probably going to lose weight a lot faster than this. But the average dude watching this is probably in like the high 100s if you're shorter, in the low or mid 200s if you're taller, right? And so, and again, we've got all different body sizes across our ummah, so I'm not trying to say that there's any one mold, but all I'm trying to say is for most guys, they're going to lose about 15, 20 pounds of fat because they only have about 20 to 30 pounds of fat to lose. But if you have like 100 pounds of fat to lose, you're going to lose a lot faster than that. Anyways, but that's quantity, and again, that needs to be a little bit more customized for you because food quality, the only thing that needs to be nuanced and customized is like what different meats are inflammatory for you, and you can easily figure that out on your own in 2 to 4 weeks. But hitting your metabolic sweet spot with training, with nutrition, with potentially cardio, if we want to go that route, which for most guys are too busy for cardio, so we usually don't do cardio in the program, but for some guys they like it and we use it, and it's effective when used correctly, of course, not when used the wrong way, then it sabotages your progress. But again, if we can nail all this stuff, that's the part that needs the most customization, where I'd prefer, instead of giving you general advice, to just hop on a specific consultation with you, which again, that'll be something that you can take advantage of in the comments section after this video, or right now if you're like about to tune out, you just want to book that real quick. Happy to hop on a consultation. I'll put the link in the description below. But anyways, so timing is the least important factor for like the actual science of the results, but it's the most important factor for your long-term consistency, that and enjoyability. Because, you know, if I said, hey man, you can never eat carbs at night, meanwhile your family's eating carbs at night, you have chocolate cravings, you're not gonna be able to stick to it. If I say you can only do 1 meal a day and you're hungry the rest of the day, then that's a problem. If I say you have to eat 6 meals a day and you work 80 hours a week, you're not gonna be able to fit in 6 meals a day. So don't worry about what all these fitness gurus are telling you. Should you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 meals a day? Should I do 36-hour fast and eat once every 2 days? No, none of that extreme, unsustainable stuff. Don't get confused. Literally, the most important things are quality and quantity more so than timing. Timing does play like maybe a 10% cherry on top role, but you know, again, sustainability is more important because if you're consistent in the long term, that's what's going to get you results and keep you results. So again, like I said, 80-90% is quality, quantity, and sustainability. So the best way that you can time your meals is to do it in a way you find sustainable. Now, there is one caveat I'll add, which is that if you're skipping breakfast, but you're somebody who tends to run high stress, the problem with skipping breakfast is it increases your cortisol. Now, if you're somebody who has lower stress and you're skipping breakfast, that's usually fine because your cortisol isn't high to begin with. But if you're like a type A business owner or professional under a lot of pressure, crushing it, working hard, always stressed out, you need to get breakfast in even if you're busy, which is tough, especially if you don't have an appetite in the morning like many stressed out professionals and business owners do. So what I'd recommend is you make a protein shake the night before and you just chug it in the morning. And with me, it's so easy for me to skip breakfast and just get straight to work. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I run high stress too. You can tell I talk super fast, I'm a high stress individual. But I always prioritize breakfast because if I don't, not only is my energy sabotaged later in the day when I burn out and my cortisol gets too high, but then the other issue is it's not good for my fitness results and my metabolism crashes. So for breakfast, if I have time, I'll either do turkey bacon or eggs. And if I don't have time, what I'll do is I'll do a protein shake with maybe some oatmeal, or if I don't have time for oatmeal, I'll literally just do a protein shake, and that's better than nothing. Maybe a protein shake with a piece of fruit. That's usually what I have my time poor, or my guys who have big time constraints do, because it just works so much better for your metabolism to front load that metabolism with protein and maybe a little bit of carbs. However, there's a little caveat to this, which is that if you suffer from having a very high appetite, it's best to do your carbs at night, but not do carbs throughout the day, because when you eat carbs, your blood sugar goes up. So then you have energy, but then your body responds by secreting insulin from the pancreas, which then brings your blood sugar down, which is why you're going to get an energy crash and you're going to get hungry a short time after eating those carbs, which is why if you struggle with having too big of an appetite, it's best to then do carbs only at night, because that's going to help you sleep. And maybe you'll get hungry in the middle of the night, but usually you're going to sleep pretty well because you have carbs and your cortisol is blunted, and just getting the protein in the morning will blunt your cortisol as well. But, you know, if you're somebody who needs to gain weight, obviously we definitely got to get carbs in the morning, because then you're going to have more appetite later in the day. And for somebody with more of a neutral appetite, I usually still recommend carbs in the morning unless it negatively affects your energy, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to blunt your cortisol further, especially if you run high stress. So for me personally, this morning I did my carrot salad biohack to reduce my estrogen, because carrots have a special fiber that reduces that helps flush out estrogen from the body, and I tend to run high estrogen as well. I tend to like be puffy, emotional, all that stuff. So that's why the carrot salad is beneficial for me, keep my estrogen in check. But and then I had that just with turkey bacon. I didn't do any carbs for breakfast today because today's a rest day for me. I'm not trying to be hungry all day. I'm trying to be productive in my business and have consistent energy. But on the days where I'm working out, I always do my gluten-free oatmeal in the morning, so I have carbs to fuel performance, and so my appetite is greater, so I don't undereat after my workout. Because if I undereat after my workout, it kills my energy later in the day. And this is just stuff I've discovered over time with myself. This is something we can discover pretty quickly for you within 2 to 4 weeks working together, inshallah. So anyways, the last thing that I want to dive into is, again, the timing. So like I did, I talked about some of the nuances, and if you have questions, drop a comment. But, again, the most important thing is just make it easy to stick to and consistent. So usually with clients, even if 6 meals a day would be the best bodybuilding, method for them, if you're already eating 3 meals a day, then let's just figure out how to make those 3 meals better, and maybe throw in a protein shake or a snack at the later time of day to keep your protein flow strong, so that you constantly are in protein synthesis, which helps your metabolism stay faster, your muscular recovery better, and and obviously more fat loss because your metabolism is faster. But yeah, if you can lock this in and make it consistent and enjoyable, then it's easy to build a momentum, to have a rhythm, and eventually you have the lifestyle, the habits, and the identity as a fit Muslim as opposed to an overweight Muslim. I would say fat Muslim, but I don't want to be offensive. And that makes it a lot easier to stick to and keep your results for life. Now, again, I talked about the carb and protein timing. As far as fasting goes, again, if you skip breakfast, it can crash your metabolism, so I usually prefer to keep protein in your system at all times. However, I have a couple clients who are very religious, like my client Abid, who loves to fast on Mondays and Thursdays. So we've kind of, adjusted that for him. But again, this video is already pretty long, so I'm going to wrap it up there. So if you have any questions, drop a comment if there's anything you want me, or if there's anything you'd like me to cover in future videos. If you need additional help, I'll drop a link below. I said free to get a one-on-one consultation, but feel free to get a complimentary one-to-one consultation. And with these consultations, a lot of people are afraid to hop on a consultation because maybe you've had somebody offer you a consultation before and then they try to sell you at the end. The way I do things is the first consultation is 15 minutes, no strings attached, and I'm not going to try to sell you on anything, so leave your credit card at home. And I consider this not only a sadaqah, but it's an expansion of my passion in helping other people and in helping Muslims, okay? I have a passion about fitness, I have a passion about Islam. So you bring those two things together, and I'm happy to do these calls and give you 15 minutes of my time. The other benefit to this is there's a percentage of people who come into these calls, they get the advice they need, and they're good to go. There's also a portion of people who come into these calls and they're like, hey, you know what? I think I'd actually benefit from having a coach. I want to invest in myself. Let's talk about the program. And if that's the case, at the end of the 15-minute consultation, we'll book a second, longer call to discuss that, and I'll send you some more details on the program between them. So this is the way I like to do business, and also it allows me to give, value for free as a Muslim, as sadaqah, to get good deeds for myself. So if you see that as being a win-win for you, and that sounds, fair enough to you, where you get to get free advice, I get to get free barakah, and we both get a win-win, then great. Book that call, and obviously if you're interested in coaching, we'll book a second call to discuss that, and that's how I find my best clients, alhamdulillah. But anyways, I hope this video is valuable for you. Now, the last thing I want to add here is, with these videos, the whole purpose is to be the best Muslim I can be, because that's what I'm teaching you, and that's a value that I have within myself. So if you have feedback for me, let's say you're a scholar and this really triggered you because you're like, oh, astaghfirullah, you shouldn't tell people to eat healthy, that's haram, to try to tell people how to be better Muslims. And the thing is, I'm not trying to tell you how to be a better Muslim, because there's muftis and scholars who know a lot more about Islam than I do. But, my intention with these videos is to be within the boundaries of Islam. So if there's anything that I said that was un-Islamic, let me know, because I'm always open to that feedback, okay? And if there's anything I said that's not scientifically accurate in your eyes, and maybe you've seen some studies that refute something I said, I'm also open to hearing that as well. And I think one, powerful quality that we can have as Muslims is to be open-minded, because I think a lot of Muslims are very narrow-minded and have a big ego. And that's not just Muslims, that's men and people in general, right? So I think one of the most important qualities is, have strong boundaries and stand for what you believe in and stand for it with passion. But be open to being proven wrong if somebody has better data to support another decision. And I'll use this example because it's something I think every Muslim can relate with, right? The Jews and the Christians are people of the book. They're technically correct in their religion. But when Islam came around, those who were open-minded to become Muslim then were able to adopt Islam. And, in our religion, and in my personal beliefs as well, I believe that Jews, Christians, and any person of virtue who believes and honors God is still going to go to Jannah, inshallah. But, obviously we want to be open-minded, just like when Islam came around, to hear ideas that are going to benefit us, right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, man, I don't like this guy, he told me to get in shape, but I don't want to get in shape, I want to keep eating unhealthy biryani with canola oil and corn-fed butter that's not organic because I'm cheap, or whatever, then, okay, you have the right to, stick with those habits and the path that you're headed down right now. But what I'd ask you is, where's that path headed? If you're overweight right now, do you have a risk of heart disease? How's your relationship with your wife? Do your kids look up to you? If you're single, are you ever going to find a partner being not the best version of yourself? That's the question I have to ask for you. And if you're okay with those consequences, if you're okay with divorce, if you're okay with not being a good role model to your kids, if you're okay with all the consequences of eating unhealthy, then keep doing it, and you'll be happier that way. But if you want to get in shape and you ever said that you want to get in shape, you ever even thought to yourself that you want to get in shape, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to Allah, you owe it to the world and to your kids, your wife, everybody in your life to be the best version of you and at least take action on what I'm saying. And the best action you can take right now is to book that consultation, because again, in that consultation, 15-minute consultation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you to customize this to you and have a clear and specific game plan for yourself. And I'm going to shamelessly say this as well. The program is absolutely amazing. The Modern Muslim Man Method is probably the best program on the market. And if there's a better one out there, I'm going to go find it and buy it so I can hack whatever's better about it and make mine better. Because that's my commitment to you and to the ummah and to this world and to myself and to everybody, is to make this the best thing ever. So again, drop me some feedback, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to book a consultation, I'll drop the link below. And inshallah, I look forward to serving you and your goals in 2022. I'll see you guys in the next video. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.